Hello everyone and welcome to your mats today. Start in a comfortable seated position with your palms facing down for grounding. Close your eyes and begin to notice your breath. Notice your belly rise and fall. Begin to take in the sensations around you. Feel the earth supporting beneath you. I'm so happy you are here today. Notice any tension in your body and release it. Let's start with some neck rolls to the right, being very gentle on your cervical spine. Perhaps roll the other way, really just doing what feels good here to you. Maybe bring in some upper thoracic movement, moving in the shoulders, doing what's best for you. And then we're going to reach up and over here to the right, side body stretch. You can keep the head looking up at the sky, or if this is putting too much tension on your neck, you may look down at the ground. And switch sides up and over, keeping the shoulders square. Once again, you may either look up or down, making sure both hips are still flat on the floor. And release and just do some upper back movements here, really just kind of getting into what feels good to you. And coming back to a neutral position, I'm going to take the left hand and place it gently on the neck, stretching out for a few breaths. And then release and switch sides, placing the left palm. You may tent the fingers or you can keep the palm on the ground, whichever is good for you. Making sure you're not pulling here. You may also look down at your armpit. Kind of provides a different stretch, looking up and down. Then coming back to a neutral. We're going to do some seated cat-cow. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, round the spine, looking at the navel. Inhale, looking at the sky. Exhale, round, looking at the navel. And rolling over the ankles and coming onto all fours. We're going to go into some kneeling cat-cow here and just simply warming up the wrists, stretching out the toes, making sure all 10 fingers are spread out wide on the mat. And then we're going to take an inhale and we're going to drop the belly, lift the heart, looking up towards the sky, arching the back. Exhale, push the ground away, round the spine, looking at the navel. Inhale, looking at the sky. Exhale, pushing the floor away, rounding the spine, and really just doing what feels good for here. Taking a few rounds on your own. Going and doing whatever motion feels good for you, warming up the spine. We're going to do a couple more rounds here, and then coming back into a neutral. I'm going to face the screen so you can see what I'm doing, but we're going to turn the palms out to the side and do some wrist stretching. So with the fingers pointing away from the midline, just simply going to rock back and forth here very gently, stretching out the forearms. Then flip the palms, wrists facing forward, getting a different stretch into the forearms here and into the wrist. It's very important to warm up your wrists before you practice. Flip the palms. Maybe play with rocking back and forth or twisting the eyes of the elbows forward and back. And then coming into a neutral position, we're going to go into gate. Simply extend the right foot out, push the hips up and over, and stretch the side body. You may look up towards the sky, or if this is putting too much tension on the neck, you may keep the gaze looking down. And coming back into a neutral, extend the left leg out, keeping the knife edge of your foot parallel with the knife edge of your mat, and send the hips up and over for gate. Making sure the right palm's fingertips are pointed towards your mat and that you're not crunching into your low back here. It's very important. We're going to go into the other side again, extending the right leg out, sending the hips up and over. And then you may walk the hand out a couple more inches and reach back and grab the toes for a quad stretch. Or you may simply just stay where you are. Once again, do not crunch into the low back here, keeping it supported with your core. And coming back to a neutral, other side, extend the left leg, take the right arm out and send the hips up and over. Maybe flex the toes for a different stretch and grab the left toes with the left arm. And once you've had enough, come back to a neutral position. And we're going to go into a downward facing dog. Send the hips up and back, keeping the low belly toned. And walk the feet out here. The fastest way to warm up your back is to pedal your feet. It's a really good stretch for your hamstrings and your calves. And it's a good shoulder warm up. Maybe take a couple deep breaths. Play with breath of fire, lion's breath. And taking a side stretch here. Once again, just really warming up your body and doing what feels good for you before we get into a little flow. I really like to open up to the side here to really get into my hips and my side body. I have really tight QLs. Begin to walk your feet forward. Walking your feet forward, bending your knees here as much as you need to. Interlace the fingers behind the neck and let gravity put pressure here. Releasing tension in the neck into the low back. The more you extend your legs here, the more you get into your hamstrings, and the more you bend your knees, the more you get into your low back. Bend the left knee and open up the right arm towards the sky, keeping the left palm flat on the ground or using a block if you need. Gaze may be up towards the sky or down at the ground. And place the right palm back on the ground and bend the right knee, keeping the right palm on the ground. Extend the left arm up towards the sky, rotating the chest towards the left. And release, coming back to a neutral position. And slowly roll up towards a standing position. Inhaling the arms up high overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Closing your eyes here and focusing inward. What are your intentions for today's practice? What are you releasing today that is no longer serving you? Cultivate happiness. Inhale the arms up high overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, plant the hands and slowly walk or step the feet back to plank. Inhale, forward. Exhale, release down to the ground. Loop the shoulders down and back, lift the chest, cobra. Exhale, push the floor away. Send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, hop or step the feet to meet the hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rolling the back up. Reverse swan dive the arms. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms up high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, hop or step the feet back to plank. Exhale, slowly lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, push the floor away, up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, hop or step the feet to meet the hands. Release. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive the arms up high overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Keeping the hands up high, send the hips down and back for chair, just warming at the legs here. Giving attention to the quads, noticing any tension you might have in the body. Warming up the core. Inhale, release. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Plant the hands, hop or step the feet back to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, push the floor away, up and back, downward facing dog. Pedaling the feet. Inhale the right leg up high towards the sky for three-legged dog, keeping the hips parallel with the earth, making sure your shoulders are squared as well, and that you're putting equal pressure in and out the fingers. This is a really great hamstring stretch for the left leg. Bend the knees, stack the hips. Trying to keep the shoulders as square as possible. It is a challenge here if you are tight in your shoulders. And release the leg. And do the opposite leg. Reach the left leg up high towards the sky, hips parallel, shoulders squared, toes flexed. 5 breaths. And sending the leg up maybe just a little bit higher using the glute. You may bend the knee and stack the hips if that is available to you. If not, just stay in three-legged dog. And then once we've had enough here, you may slowly release the leg and sit back into a child's pose. You may leave the hands out in front of you for a shoulder stretch, or you can place the arms beside the shins. This is a very grounding position. It's a way to self-soothe and to self-hold. It makes you feel safe and protected. Coming back to an all-fours position, tuck the toes and hips up and back, downward facing dog. Shift your gaze forward. Exhale, hop or step the feet up to meet the hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive the arms up high overhead. Exhale, release. Inhale, up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, send the feet back to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, send hips up and back, down dog. Send the right leg up high towards the sky. And bring the foot to meet between the hands. Drop the left knee and tuck the toes. Send the arms up high for Anjaneyasana. Low lunge. Making sure that your knee is in line with your ankle and that you can still see your toes. Making sure you're not crunching into your spine. Maybe place the right hand on the ground, getting into that psoas a little bit deeper. And revolve the right arm around to grab the left toes for quad stretch. And release, coming back. Plant the hands. Scissor the thighs together so that the hips are squared. And rise the arms up for high lunge. Cactus the arms, taking a breath out. Inhale the arms up. Exhale once more, cactus the arms. Lion's breath, stick your tongue out long. Inhale, pivot the back toes. Warrior two. keeping the knee in line with the ankle, and reverse. Windmill the arms back down to the earth, down dog. Send the left leg up high towards the sky, and exhale, bring the foot to meet the hands. Drop the right knee, untuck the toes, Anjaneyasana. Maybe release the spine, release the left palm, getting into the right psoas, and reversing, bending the right knee and grabbing the toes with the left palm for a quad stretch. And releasing the toes, bringing both palms to meet the earth, scissoring the thighs, strengthening the core, rise for high lunge. Exhale, lion's breath. Inhale, rise. Exhale once more. Practicing the arms in the inhale to rise. Pivoting the toes, warrior two. Reverse the pose, flex the left toes. And side body stretch here. And windmill the arms down to the earth. Send the foot back, down dog. Send the right leg up high towards the sky. Exhale, plant the foot between the hands. Pivot the back toes and rise for warrior two. Going into a triangle pose here. Straighten the right leg, shift the hips, extend the right arm up and over. This is getting into your inner thigh here. Once again, if this is too much on your neck, you may look down at the ground. Keeping your left foot parallel with the side of the mat. Coming back to warrior two. And shifting the toes towards the back, we're going to switch over onto warrior two on the other side. Keeping your knee in line with your ankle. Triangle on this side, send the hips to the back. Left arm towards the front toes and over. And bending the knee and coming back into a warrior two. Windmill the arms down to the ground. Send the left foot up and back, downward facing dog. Shift the gaze forward, hop or step the feet to meet the hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly rise to standing, bringing the arms up high overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Taking a big step back, pivoting the toes towards the front of your mat. Send the arms out long and begin to hinge forward at the hips, keeping a flat spine. You may release the palms down towards the earth, or you can bring them to a block. We're going to be going into a headstand if you would like, or you may remain here. Keeping the left palm on the ground, rotate the chest open, arm up towards the sky. Switch sides, placing the palm on the ground, rotating the chest open, arm up. And release the hand back towards the earth. Cupping the crown of the head, keeping the shoulders squared. You may go into your headstand here if you would like, or just remain in a forward fold. Either way, both are inversions and getting blood to the brain. Holding here for a few breaths. And once you've had enough, you may slowly begin to lower back towards the earth. Releasing the position, taking an inhale here. Walk the hands over towards the left leg and send the foot back for a downward facing dog. Just kind of putting things into neutral. Hop or step the feet to meet the hands. Inhale the arms up high overhead and send the hips down towards the earth for seated position. Extend the legs up. Remove any flesh from your sits bones that may need to be. Bend the right knee into the thigh. Send the arms up high and hinge at the hips and forward fold over the left leg. Maybe play with the flexion of the foot here. If you rotate the toes inward or outward, you can stretch different parts of your calf. It's quite nice. And coming up, we're going to switch legs, bringing the left leg bent into the right thigh. Same thing, send the arms up high, exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Taking a few breaths here. And release. Coming up, extend both legs. Remove any flesh from your sits bones. Inhale up high, exhale, forward fold. If this is too much for you, you can put a blanket underneath your legs or a blanket on top of your thighs to rest your chest or head on. You can even put a block on top of your shins or a pillow to support the neck. Inhale the arms up high overhead. Exhale, coming into a seated position, we're going to go into Gomukhasana, or cow pose, well, a variation. Making sure that the knees are stacked here. You're going to inhale and extend over to the left side, opposite arm, opposite leg. So if your right leg is on top of your left, you're going to be going over to the left side. This gets really deep into the hips and it can be a little intense. So if you cannot go all the way down, that is okay. And release, switching the legs. Bringing the right knee on top of the left or the left knee on top of the right, whichever you choose. Making sure knees are stacked and that the hips are both equally on the ground. If this is giving you any sort of pain whatsoever, please just sit in a seated position. This gets really deep into the hips. And release. Shifting the legs out forwards in front of you, shaking out anything, any sort of tension or stickies, as I like to call it. A bird pooped on my mat. And slowly lower all the way to the ground. We're going to go into a figure four pose here to get into our glutes. So you're simply going to bend both knees and bring the right ankle on top of the left knee. You may grab around behind the thigh and draw the legs closer to the chest or the belly. Keeping both feet flexed to protect the knees. If you cannot grab behind the thigh, you may also use a cup towel or a handkerchief or a sock, something to give you leverage. And release, switch legs, bring the left ankle on top of the right knee, and draw towards the belly. And then once you've had enough here, we're going to release and go into a happy baby, grabbing the outsides of the big toes and legs out wide. This is a really good stretch for the groin and also releasing any tension in the back. And maybe shake it out. Do whatever else you feel you need to do before we go into Shavasana. Inhale, wrapping up into a tight little ball, taking in as much air as you possibly can, the very last sip until you cannot breathe in any more air. And exhale, release it out, extend, take up space, Shavasana. This is your time to rest. Take up space, release the eyelids, release tension in the hands and the feet. Relax the tongue. And just notice your breath. Slowly begin to bring awareness back into the body. Graze the thumb over the fingertips, wiggle the toes, take a good swallow, and extend the arms up high overhead for a good full body, good morning stretch. Rolling over onto the right side into a fetal position. Keeping the eyes closed and just taking things very slow. Press the floor away, keeping the eyes closed, and come into a seated position. Bringing the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me and sharing this space and being kind to your body. May you go on throughout the rest of your day and shine light onto others and smile because you are alive. Be mindful of your words and be mindful of your actions. Remember that what you give energy to, you give life to, and what you consume becomes you. Namaste.